Okay. Now, how many times does this happen to you? The card led is a 3. Now, there's an advantage to keeping 3 cards in sequence, especially if they're large cards. So if you pull a queen out of there, what have you done to your sequence?
You broke it.
Exactly. So play off either end of it. I would like to get rid of the king myself right there, but because the 10 jack queen, the 10 jack might also work with a 9.
Now, playing defense, would you make the same lead?
Well, you're not leading. You've got a 3 spot that's been led to you.
But now you're playing defense. You play the king instead of
The king is a defensive play because the non-dealer would generally throw the king if he had it to the crib. If the non-dealer had a king, it's probably in your crib. So if you want to play defense, then the king is a correct play on the 3. Remember, you're not leading, you're playing second. Okay. And then you've got 3 8s and a 9. Now this is true of nearly all triples. If you're the non-dealer, triples do not work. If you're the dealer, keeping a large triple often gets you some extra pegs on the end of the play. In fact, if they're face card triples, very often they'll get you 3 queens back to back. But as the non-dealer, you can't make them work that way. So there is in a hand that has 3 8s and a 9, there is no advantage whatever to lead the 9. Lead from the strength, lead the 8. You can't get them in. Even on small cards, as the non-dealer, lead from the triple. You may be able to get a pair of small cards in on the end, but you'll never get a triple as the non-dealer on the end of play. So lead from the triple. That's why Delin calls that a little turkey play. Any questions about those? Then we move into some big turkey plays. Anybody see how that works? 6 6 9 9. Why the 6 there might put you in more of a bind than leading a 9. Yeah. You might have a problem either way, but the problem is likely to be a lot larger if you lead the 6 rather than the 9. If we put the 7 on the 6, as it shows here, you got a problem. But if they put the 7 on your 9, it's not that much of a problem. How about we covered this one earlier in another sense, with a double run of small cards, lead from the strength, lead from the pair. Does it look like leading from the pair makes sense? If you lead the 4 in this case, your hand looks pretty vulnerable. What do you do?
Lead the 3, wouldn't you lead the 3?
Yeah, exactly. You lead the 3. You've got the 3 covered. You've got it covered several ways. In fact, generally, as a rule, if you just consider the mathematical odds, if you're holding 2 3 4, in this case we're holding 2 3s, so we really got it covered better than we might have it in some hands. But if you're holding 2 3 4, the lead of the 3 allows you to take 15 if somebody makes the count 13. It also allows you to make 15 if somebody makes the count 11, which they like to do. So the 3 is the proper lead. It also forces the 5 off the play in the event they have face cards. So the 3 is the card to lead. Now, Delin shows a 1 7 8 9 and somebody leading an 8. From an offensive standpoint, if I were playing offense and needed pegs, I would lead the 1. From a defensive standpoint, I would never lead the 8. I'd lead the 7 because I've got the 1 to escape. See? They pair the 7, I can get out of there if I want to. 15 for 2. So we're even. Now it's their play. Yeah, who knows? They might have to play an 8. That's okay. That'll be 31 for 4. Stack up a few. So, but once you lead the 8, you're really vulnerable. And by leading the 7, you can play the hand. You can play the hand a little bit either way. You might end up with a good offensive pegging experience. And we mentioned this one before, folks. I see this every week, and this is the finest hand in cribbage, 6-6-5-4, 6-6-4 with any other card. Just a terrific hand to play. If you don't lead the 4, you lead the 6. Why do we lead the 6? Because they won't put the 5 on it. They'll make the count 16. We make the count 22. If they got a 5, they drop it for 27. We drop our 4 for 31 for 5. We've got 5 pegs we've scored, and the dealer hasn't got diddly. And if you've got the 5 to go with it, like in this example, the dealer can have a double run of face cards. You don't need the 5. You've got the 5. So when the count gets to 22 and they say go, you say 27, 31 for 5. Thank you. Try it, you'll like it. Now, this next hand here, let board position decide it for you. There is a slight argument. From a hand that includes the 9, 10, Jack 5, there is a slight argument for leading the 9. All right, in most cases. In most cases, you would break the 3-card sequence by leading the 10. The dilemma with that is most people are tempted to pair the 5. And they make 15 for 2 on your 10 lead. You just force the count up, or do you take the pair with your 5? If you take the pair with a 5, you're vulnerable for a whole lot of pegs. Because the next card they play, you're going to say go. So be cautious with that one. Hal's crib, who plays the toughest opponent I play, from that hand will often lead the 9 because it does not compel him to consider taking the pair with the 5. Let board position decide that for you, because if you don't need 2 pegs, then putting yourself in a position to have to pair the 5 is not a good thing to do. Is there anybody here been burned by that? Yeah. It's pretty common, because generally if you give up 2 on the 15, you're tempted to get even by taking the next 2 by pairing the 5. So